Hi everyone, I'm Alec from AJay Farms, and I just wanted to do a video update on the plants. And I'm sorry for the drought in videos lately. I've actually been out of town for the past month, going back and forth between different places, but I'm back now, and can do more updates regularly. And as you can probably see, the plants aren't quite looking their best, but that's what happens when you're not here to take care of them. They do suffer from neglect. But without further ado, I will show you the plants. Oh, and one more thing. I did actually start a few more things that I needed to do, mostly two, I think, varieties of tomatoes that were the last things that I needed to start before the last frost date. And other than that, everything else will be planted directly outside. So now I can show you what's going on. So here we have the sweet Spanish yellow Utah jumbo onion, and they're doing alright. They are starting to flop over a little bit, but it is a grass, and they can only do but so much in a small container like this. I'm impatiently waiting for the weather to warm up, and it's starting to, so starting to be able to plant some cold weather crops outside. And here we have the MOA Scotch Bonnet. Unfortunately, these are one of the varieties that suffered the greatest. All of them died, so I had to restart. And I restarted on the 8th, so we're back to seedling stage, but it's alright. Here I have the Carolina Reaper. I did have two. One died, so I planted a new one, and it's coming up. The older one, it's still small for being almost 2 months old, but as the weather warms up and gets a bit more sunny outside, I can plant it outside and see what happens. Now here I have the Peach Scotch Bonnet. These are actually doing the best. All four of them managed to survive. They are a little yellowy, but as I left, they got overwatered, but they're recovering and drying out. But yes, they are the biggest, I believe, if not the second biggest, I can't quite tell. But these peppers are doing the best of my group. Then here I have the Bahamian Beast. It's doing pretty well. I don't think this suffered any casualties. If it did, I think just one. You may or may not be able to tell. Yeah, you can see the leaves up here aren't doing the best. One of the times that I was gone, the plants actually grew a lot and touched the light that I have in there and did get a little scorched, so I had to move the light up. And then here I have the Gigantica jalapeno peppers. They were really leggy and not doing too well, so I pulled them up and I just restarted them today. So I'll wait for those to sprout and see what happens. Here I have one half of the Bahamian goats. I did have four. One of them died, and one ended up sprouting really late, so I didn't have to reseed it. I just had another one pop up, but here's two of them. And here are the other two. You can see the little tiny one in there. That's the one that randomly came up really late, but I'm not going to complain about more plants. Here I have the Copenhagen Market cabbage. This is one of the ones that I started and haven't done an update since. All four, because I planted four, I believe, did sprout, but as I was moving them around, I ended up accidentally breaking some of the stems, so I plucked those out and started over. This one was the sole survivor of me moving them around, but even if I just get one cabbage, I'm just growing these for fun. Here we have the early jalapeno peppers. The leaves themselves, these are the ones, they grow very tall, despite being in the same light conditions. They're very leggy, and they, well, not necessarily leggy, but they like to grow very spindly and tall. You can see they touch the light, they got scorched. So I'm going to leave the leaves on there until they grow out some new ones, and then pluck all of the very sad looking leaves off. Here we have the Sweet 100 hybrid cherry tomato. This little one right there, I did have to plant some extra ones. It was standing up, but it doesn't like the constant temperature changes, so it did flop over. It did this yesterday when I put it out in the sun, but it perks back up and flops over and perks up and flops over, so I'll leave it in for now. It doesn't seem to be dying, it just does that. This is the older of the two. This is one of the survivors. It also got a little too close to the light, but it's growing pretty well. It's growing new leaves, and it's one of the healthiest tomatoes that I have, so I'll let it go and see what happens. Then here we have my Carolina Reapers. I had four come up, all four are still alive. One is doing better than the rest, as you can probably see. These leaves aren't too terribly damaged, which I'm grateful for, because I'm really excited to get some of these. But we're just gonna let those go. Hopefully they continue to stay healthy. Here I have the orange blob peppers. They kind of leaned over a little bit, so when I have them back in the container, I'll turn them the other way, make sure they get even light on both sides. These also got overwatered and then or too much light because they were getting a little close, but not much you can do when you're gone. Here I have the California Wonder bell peppers. They were doing fine before I left, now not so great, but that's okay. They are growing new leaves still, and none of the centers of the stems for the plants that are still here have been damaged, so they will grow new leaves. So I'll just make sure they get the right amount of water and not too much or too little fertilizer to keep them going. And a lot of them have actually started growing roots out of the bottoms of the cups, so I started feeding some of them hydroponic nutrients, like the Bahamian goats and the peach scotch bonnets, so as you can tell, they've grown a lot bigger. Here I have the orange habanero peppers. These are some of the peppers I'm most excited for. I believe just 3 of them came up, but they are doing very, very well. They are about a month old now, so they are, I think, for the youngest of the plants, they are doing some of the best. Here I have the Roma VF tomatoes. These are also something that I just planted, as you can see, not too long ago. I don't remember planting this many, but apparently I did, but they came up, and they're doing really well, so I'll keep them in there, and as they get bigger, I'll start separating them so they don't start getting tangled, because they'd be a nightmare to separate at that point. Here's the sweet banana pepper. These also get extremely tall. Again, they're getting the same amount of light as the other peppers, but they are very, very leggy. So I had to top one of them right there, as you may or may not be able to see as it's wiggling. Right there. Because the leaves were scorched, they had holes in them, like this one, it wasn't pretty, and I don't remember if the center leaves were damaged or not, but it did have 2 sets of leaf nodes, so it'll start growing side shoots out of there eventually. And there's a little one down there, that one's doing the best of the sweet banana peppers. So I'm excited to see how those will go. And then here I have my beefsteak tomatoes. These are the last ones that I started off camera. They are actually doing very well. Again, I don't remember planting this many, but more plants is better. But they're doing pretty well. They are a little leggy, but the good thing with tomatoes is when you transplant them, you can plant them deeper, and the stems will grow roots. I definitely can't show the little fuzz on the stems through my camera. It's not going to focus well enough. But they do have little furs, things on their stems. And if you plant them underground, they'll actually start growing into roots. Unlike most plants, where if you plant them too far down, it'll actually hurt the plant. And then here we have the Black Beauty eggplant. These are another one of the plants that ended up touching the lights. I did get rid of most of the very burned leaves, but as you can see, not all of them came off. I didn't want to take off too many and then hurt the plant, but they're still growing. All 4 of them are, and they're doing pretty well. They haven't really flopped over or shown any other signs of distress. So hopefully when the weather warms up soon, I can get them outside. And last but not least, we have my Scotch Brains. I did lose one of them, so now I only have one. But I'm not too worried about it. It's doing really well. And as it gets bigger, I'll top it off. And then I might try to propagate it or graft it or something just to get more of it from one plant. But I'm not too sure about that right now. But yes, these are all of the plants that I'm currently growing that I've started inside. And these are all of the plants that I'm going to start inside because I've also run out of room. So these are the one half. And then here are the other few. But yes, I've actually run out of room in my container, so this will have to be it until the weather warms up. I did, for fun, since it was getting randomly warm in February, start some radish, but they're a little hit or miss since it has been getting so cold at night. But yes, these are the plants, and join us next week for another update. Thanks for watching!